What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Ringside Rambles podcast. I'm Derek,
And I'm Cole.
and boy, do we have a lot to get into. My goodness.
Man, let me tell you something right now. This is gonna be Cole unfiltered, uncensored, and boy, you thought Cornette cut a promo. Wait till you hear what I gotta say about this.
Yeah, so basically, just to give you the outline of what it's going to look like today, we're going to run through basically in order night one down the card, night two of WrestleMania down the card, and then talk a little bit about Raw after Mania. And then I guess, depending on time, my guess is we're going to be going a while here. But depending on the time, we'll just, address a couple other things. Samoa Joe is now all elite, along with some other stuff. So, but anyway, let's get into it. So, WrestleMania night one. We'll go ahead and start off here. The Usos defended against Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. Cole, have you seen anything from this match? I'll let you go first.
I saw a little bit of this match, and in my notes, I kind of wrote it down as an Uso squash match. I mean, not a lot of things really to point out that impressed me in this match. So I kind of skimmed through this a little bit since I'm very lucky to have Peacock, and on Peacock you can skip through certain things. So luckily, but overall, I mean, it was a decent little tag match. Nothing impressive, just a straightforward in and out. Um, I kind of gave this one a 2 out of 5. I just was not. I really wasn't into this one as much as some of the other ones.
Yeah, I was kind of I don't know how to explain it. I was surprised that this was the first match to open the show. It not that it was bad, but I think as soon as I found out that this was the first match, it was like, okay, we know what they're doing here. They're starting off WrestleMania with the Bloodline, retaining and looking good, and ending WrestleMania with Roman holding up both titles. But with this match, I thought it was all right. It's interesting that the Usos are now using the 3D, calling it the 1D. I'm assuming they had to get approval on that, so I guess they're allowed to do it. But I mean, it's all right. It's all right. Shinsuke and Boogs came out to Mike's Hard Lemonade themed gear, which I thought was interesting. It didn't look bad, but I don't want this to be a common theme going forward of guys coming out with sponsors on their gear. Um, Now the big thing, Boogs got injured. He attempted to lift both of the Usos, and I thought it was a work. I thought that was just fantastic selling because the whole angle heading up to this match was, him with that knee injury, and then it was like, oh, it's fake, kind of that Kevin Nash thing.
Mhm.
Um, and then in the match, he injured his knee. It was like, bad karma, I guess. Um, but yeah, it did not look good. But I did have a friend who was in the building, and he said it looked legit, which I was like, on TV, it kind of looked like it was a work, but it was legit. I think he tore something. I can't remember, but wishing him the best, obviously hoping he gets back healthy and whatnot. But the Usos win. Not surprising. I think everybody kind of knew that was coming. Um, Now the next match, Drew McIntyre takes on Corbin. This I you go first because I have some interesting thoughts on this.
Uh, the way I wrote it down in my notes, to me, it was like a job match. I mean, it was like just McIntyre just getting the crap beat out of him, and then somehow he wins in the end. I mean, that's what it looked like to me. Just Corbin just treating McIntyre like he's some green job guy, and then somehow at the end McIntyre pulls off a win. Which, I mean, hey, there were a couple of good points, but honestly, that's just how it looked to me. Just it just looked like a job match.
Yeah, it was at this point I was like, "Oh man, this rough match card is starting to show itself," because you start off with the tag team championship match, really didn't have a whole lot of build to it. Then you go into this match, which nobody cared about. I mean, there's not a single person on the face of the earth who cared about this match. Um, I thought that the start of it was terrible. I hated the start of the match. I was bored out of my mind. I was on my phone. And then towards the back half of the middle to end, it started to really pick things up. Of course, when Drew started to take over. Now, Drew is the first person ever to kick out at the end of days, which I didn't realize that. I had heard that, but it was a long time ago, so I didn't know if that was still true. That is a big deal because you don't see that in WWE anymore, having protected finishers. So the rumor is that Drew is booked on the house shows facing Roman for the next couple months. So is this something to elevate him? I guess if you want to say that, I don't know. I did think the McIntyre sword to the ropes thing was kind of cool. It would have been a lot better if he cut through all three. Um, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't a WrestleMania match. It was a really good B pay-per-view match, I guess you could say. Um, yeah, it was all right. Drew McIntyre ended up winning, obviously. And that was it. That was it for Drew McIntyre taking on Corbin. So that was your second match on the card. Now the third match, and me and you were talking a little bit before this, the shockingly good match of the night, Dominic and Rey Mysterio taking on The Miz and Logan Paul. Go ahead and give me your thoughts on this.
Yeah, Dominic and Rey Mysterio versus what I call Team Ohio.
Team
Uh,
Cleveland. Both of them are
yeah,
from
Team
Cleveland.
Cleveland. Yeah.
Go Browns.
uh, of course, you got to fit in a Browns
Hey,
speech, man. Hey, it's cool, my man. Y'all. I got some good pickups, so I can't complain. But anyways, yeah, Dominic Rey Mysterio versus Miz and Logan Paul, Team Ohio. Boy, this one was a pretty good match. You got to admit, because I mean, you weren't nobody was really expecting Logan Paul to come out and put on a really good show and work his tail off, but damn, he
yeah.
did good. And Dominic Mysterio, he looked good in the ring. I mean, gee, like there were some really good high points, and to get this, the best part I think that really just sold it for me was when Logan Paul did that James Brown split, just knocked it
Yeah.
right on down like the Jackson 5 drum majors, man. That was just that just put the icing on the cake for me. That, like, you first see two really terrible job squash matches that nobody was paying attention to. Then you go right into this, and you're like, oh, hey, all right, this is kind of the part where people start waking up, and
That's a good way of putting it because that's when I woke up.
really, and honestly, I just solid match. I mean, for who they got in there, I mean, two inexperienced guys with two experienced guys. I mean, and they blew the roof off the place. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I loved this match. I couldn't believe, like I said earlier, it was the match that had no business being as good as it was. I love Rey Mysterio. Always have, always will. And Dominic being a part of so many, well, I don't know if so many storylines is the right way of putting it, but early on in his life, the storyline of him and Eddie, who's the actual dad, and just the crazy things that he's been a part of. It's awesome for Ray to be able to work with his son, professional wrestling. You don't get the long careers sometimes. So I'm really happy for Ray that he's getting to have this time, especially at WrestleMania. But as far as the match itself, I thought it was great storyline telling of the heels, you know what I mean, with the whole Eddie Guerrero things. I could not believe that Logan Paul did the Three Amigos in the Frog Splash. I could not believe that happened. I thought for a fact that Ray I think it was Ray who was in at the time, was going to reverse or was going to get out of it, whatever, put the knees up for the splash. I genuinely cannot believe that they let Logan Paul come in and, be such a heel that he hits it. It just didn't, especially for WrestleMania, it just did not seem like something that would happen. So that surprised me. The Miz, honestly, I think Logan Paul, and I don't hate the Miz. There's a lot of people who hate the Miz. I think the Miz is actually somebody who could be a lot better if they let him. But that's just me. But Logan Paul was the real story of this match. I mean, for a celebrity, we know his boxing career. He's an athlete, but he came in and he was an absolute natural. He looked and sold better than a lot of the roster. So that was interesting. So Miz tags himself in after Logan Paul got hit or whatever. He hits a skull-crushing finale on Rey Mysterio, picks up the win. Hands raised, and the Miz turns on Logan Paul with a skull-crushing finale. I thought that this was a face turn. It seemed like it, but I don't really know. I mean, the Miz was on Raw. We'll talk about Raw later, still acting like a heel. So that kind of confused me. If I had to give this match out of 5, to be honest, I'm giving it a solid 4. I really enjoyed it. I did.
Yeah, I agree with a 4. I mean, this one was a really wake everybody up match for what was coming next. So
yes. So the 4th match, the Raw Women's Championship, Bianca Belair taking on Becky Lynch. Go ahead. Go.
Well, first I got this little in my part of my notes. After the Miz match, Stephanie McMahon came out and did a little promo introducing this Olympic wrestler. Which
Gable Stevenson, no personality.
It was interesting. It's like, okay, we got a little ad in between. Come on, get the hell off the stage. Let's go. And then we go to the $1 million women's match. This is what I call if there was a women's match that, deserved to be on TV and be called the $1 million women's match, this was it.
Yep.
And let me tell you something, I was geeking the hell out on this one. So Becky Lynch comes out, her entrance, she got this guy, chauffeur, I mean, heck, looks like one of us, and she comes out in this Cadillac. I think it was a Cadillac. It was either a Cadillac or an Escalade or a Tahoe, one of the two. She comes out, she does her little entrance. I mean, and she got this new look, and it is just badass. Yeah, I mean,
oh, you liked
goodness. It was. I mean,
you liked it.
It looked. I mean, she looked pretty ragged, rough. I mean,
wow, I hated her look. Wow.
I mean,
we don't disagree that much.
Hey, got to sometimes. I mean, otherwise, hell. But here's the part that started geeking me out. Okay, we get to Bianca Belair's entrance, and the next thing I see Brian Simmons, a director of bands at Texas Southern University, Ocean of Soul. He comes in. I see that man walking down that white band director suit, which is how a band director's supposed to look. And then you got the Ocean of Soul coming in, marching Ocean. And they play Bianca Belair's entrance music. And man, I was just geeking out. That was awesome. Man. Bum, bum, bum. Anyways. Oh my goodness. Let me tell you something. For a 25-minute match, damn, these ladies, they put on a show. It was hot in public, if you will. And they really just did an amazing job. I mean, you had all these false finishes that looked excellent. I mean, I had some technical moves here and there, and I mean, Bianca's strength is just absolutely amazing to watch. And I mean, kudos to Becky for putting Bianca over and stuff, but like, man, this was one of those deals. I mean, if you saw this the first time, you were just sitting there with your mouth on the floor, just going like, wow. And you just wish that women's wrestling was always like this, because they worked their tails off, and boy, did they put on a show, and everybody was just amazed. It was absolutely just wrestling at its finest. Can't complain about it. Wonderful match. I mean, and I wish we saw more of this, because they did good.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. This honestly, this was my favorite match of night one. I think that these two, like you said, knocked it out of the park. 5 out of 5 for me, A plus. Just first of all, the storytelling of this match, Becky Lynch being, and I was one of these people, the few people I should say, wasn't a fan of Becky just because I thought she was being massively overrated in terms of being pushed as this main event superstar. I just didn't. I don't know. Not that she wasn't good. I just didn't think she was that good, if that makes sense. This match, Bianca Belair, I always thought she was phenomenal. But just the storytelling of this, she ends up getting her eye knocked in, which looked great in terms of like the post match interviews and stuff, and even on Raw with her promo. It's like, this is what you want WrestleMania to be. You want these moments, but at the same time, it makes sense, and these two put on a heck of a show. The manhandle slam, that was a really close near fall there. I thought for sure when she was on the outside of the ring and hit the manhandle slam on the stairs, Becky got to 9. And I mean, Bianca was not even up. And I was like, oh man. And then she jumped back in the ring. I didn't think it was going to be over there, but they were cutting it close. Sometimes accidents happen. And I wasn't sure that she was going to get in, but she did. So Bianca hits the KOD, wins the match. What an incredible 25, like you said. This is what WrestleMania is all about. And it's really good for the Raw Women's Championship to feel like a big deal, because that's what this match felt like. It felt like a big deal in comparison to the SmackDown Women's Championship match, what we'll talk about on night 2. Yeah, I thought this was phenomenal. Thought it was awesome. You got anything else on that before we move on?
No, I think we covered that pretty solidly.
Yeah, so the next one was the one was the one we've all been waiting for. Seth Rollins comes out. I liked his gear. I thought it was a bit interesting, but it fits his character, this over the top Joker type, if you want to call it that. Very actually, you know what, Cole? You go first because I got a lot to say on this.
Yeah. I rated this one a 5 out of 5. I mean, okay, I'm not really a big fan of Seth's gimmick, to be honest. I mean, to me, it's just too over the top and a little bit too much cartoony to me. But if there is one thing that Seth Rollins proved during this match, was that, yeah, his gimmick might be a little bit, too much for some people, but there is no doubt in my mind Seth Rollins can work. Seth Rollins can work, and also, Seth Rollins, the build up to this match was, Seth Rollins was going to wrestle this mystery opponent. Like, who am I going to wrestle? And next thing you know, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, comes out. And
By the way, just jumping in real quick, credit to Seth for building this entire angle by himself. That's one thing that a lot of people aren't talking about. But go ahead and finish.
I mean, he did good building it up, just as a mystery. Who am I going to wrestle? And then you see Cody Rhodes comes out in this grand entrance, and he looked good.
Oh yeah.
And not only that, but he didn't have this entourage or anybody following him, and he wasn't sucking up to anybody. It was Cody, and it was just Cody, and that's just Kiss method, keep it simple, stupid. And that's what they did. And Cody came out, amazing entrance, amazing pyro. And boy, did those two put on a match. I mean, Cody came out and proved that he is still the man. He can still work his tail off. Seth can work. I mean, these guys just really got the crowd into it. They looked good. And I mean, there was a couple times where, like, where you almost saw some botches, but boy, did they do a really good job in saving it. I mean, this looked professional. It looked good, clean. And I mean, this is another one of those, WrestleMania matches that people paid to see. And boy, did they do a hell of a job.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, it was here's here's the thing about this. Seth comes out and it's all about, all right, is it going to be Shane? Are they going to swerve us? Is it going to be The Undertaker? Because I genuinely thought they might run another squash match like they did with Cena with Seth, because Taker in his Hall of Fame speech said something along the lines of, like, you never know, that's not what he said, but I can't remember word for word. But so, man, they they milked this long time. Seth was in the ring, the lights were still up and no music. He was just standing there. Seth Rollins he is a fantastic professional wrestler. He is so good at his facial expressions, his selling of the waiting, his selling of switching from the gimmick to being more serious of like, okay, what am I about to go against? Fantastic A+ job by Seth Rollins on that side of things. Because it was a very, very long wait. If I had a complaint, that would be my complaint. They waited a little bit too long, in my opinion, for the debut of Cody Rhodes, re-debut, if you want to call it that. Man, the lights go black and you hear wrestling has more than one royal family. I didn't hear that. It sounded like The Fiend to me. And that's why I was like, what? So I kind of had a double swerve because where I was sitting, I was kind of somewhat far away from my TV and I didn't have the volume up super, super loud. So I didn't really hear it, but it heard like the older Bray Wyatt, like before he comes out, where he's like, we're here. That's kind of what it sounded like to me. And I was like, what? But no, it was wrestling has more than one royal family. Kingdom by Downstate plays, which is Cody Rhodes' AEW theme. A lot of people hating on this theme song. I love it personally. I think it's a great, perfect fit for Cody Rhodes. They let him use the American Nightmare gimmick theme song. It was full on AEW Cody Rhodes in the WWE at WrestleMania 38. I popped. I'm so happy to see Cody. And we'll kind of get into it as far as the Raw after Mania, but my complaints and my concerns with Cody leaving AEW was, hey, they're going to have him in a mid-card role. They treated him like an absolute superstar. I love the entrance coming up from some people are calling it the Cody Vader, where he comes up and his head kind of popped up. What a great shot. The pyro, like you said. As far as the match itself, there were so many fantastic callbacks to Dusty Rhodes that people maybe wouldn't have noticed if you're, a casual wrestling fan or if you haven't watched in a while. But just there was a point in time, first of all, where Cody did the Stardust gimmick, where he does the cartwheel and then the hands. I popped for that just because it was so cool to be like, hey, that's dead, and that was kind of his way of doing that. But back to the Dusty stuff, the punches Dusty style, fantastic. The elbow to the head, the way Dusty used to do it. Cody Rhodes kicking out of the pedigree was a nice twist, because in AEW everybody was saying, oh, he's the new Triple H. That was cool. And then Cody actually he had Seth in a pedigree type move, I guess you could say. It wasn't the pedigree, but Rollins reversed. Cody hits 2 crossroads in a row, hits the bionic elbow, tribute to his father. 3rd crossroads, Cody Rhodes wins at WrestleMania. Absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you talk about WrestleMania moments. The guy that we thought would never, ever be welcome back in the WWE leaves and is the biggest part, as far as the wrestling side of things, of building the biggest competition that Vince McMahon has seen since WCW. He's back. And Cole, I don't know if you caught it, but Corey Graves saying the prodigal son has returned.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
was just it was wild to see. I mean, if you would have told me last year that Cody Rhodes would be in WrestleMania, or at WrestleMania, I should say, I would have said you're nuts. And this was awesome. That's the only way I can put it. This was absolutely awesome.
Yeah, I mean, they treated Cody Rhodes like royalty, and I mean, and the match was just 5-star. I mean, there's just no complaint about this match. I mean, it was wow. That's
Yeah.
all you can really say.
Yeah.
Anyways,
And then there was the
so
next.
yeah, well, first off, we go into the Hall of Fame
Oh,
presentation,
yeah. Yeah.
and I mean, I'm going to touch on this real briefly, but the one thing that was interesting to me was seeing Scott Steiner on the stage, because you got to understand. I mean, Scott Steiner and Triple H, until Triple H had his big health scare, they had some serious beef. And
Yeah.
I mean, and Scott Steiner, you put Scott Steiner on a live mic and you're like, oh shit, am I going to get censored? Am I going to get fined by the FCC? Oh boy. Because I mean, Scott Steiner just come out and he'll just cut a promo and just eviscerate everybody. I mean, if anyone wants an example, go watch the promo he did on Flair back in 2000 in WCW. And you're just like, man, if you saw that on TV, yeah, they'd get you thrown off. But anyways, I mean, but seeing Scott Steiner and Triple H, now that Triple H had his health scare, and everybody realizing, life's too short, and just seeing the Steiner brothers up there on that stage, inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame, that was awesome. I mean, it is good to see, because the Steiners are some amazing workers, and not only that, but you got Rick Steiner's son in there in the WWE now. I think he's in. I don't know if he's in NXT or which.
Yep, and we're gonna talk about him later because
But
I got some things to say about my boy Braun Breaker. I can't wait to talk about that.
but I mean, but it's good to. But it is really really good to see that the Steiners are being recognized for the amazing workers that they are, and
Yep.
also then you had the big presentation with the Undertaker. I mean, absolutely wonderful. Just I mean, in Undertaker's Hall of Fame presentation, I mean, normally you don't see Vince McMahon, induct somebody, but I mean, this one, it was well deserved for
Yeah.
Vince McMahon to be the one to induct Undertaker into the Hall of Fame, and we also got to see Vader be inducted as well, which sounds also good.
Which Nikki Bella thinks is still.
Oh my goodness! I heard that Cornette promo, and I was like, he's still. I forgot what. My mind's going
he
blank.
was. Brian was.
Help me out, man.
Brian
last cackling, man. It was funny.
Brian was. Brian was telling Jim about
She doesn't know he's dead.
He was telling him about her talk. She did an interview somewhere talking about
Wow, she was so happy to hear about how
stories.
Stories about the past. I'm like, he's been dead for 10 years, 10, 15 years. I mean,
he goes,
she doesn't know he's dead. Brian laughs, just killing me, man.
Jim goes, oh my gosh, she doesn't know he's dead. 10 years, the man. Oh my gosh, that was one of the funniest things I've. Oh, that was. Oh yeah, but yeah, Undertaker, one of his 2 Hall of Fame WrestleMania appearances. Yeah, it was good. Um, but the next match, my goodness, you talk about a
Uh,
snooze fest. SmackDown Women's Championship, Charlotte Flair taking on the Royal Rumble winner Ronda Rousey. I'll go first just because I got like 3 things to say.
yeah, you go right ahead, man.
It seemed like they both did not want to work with each other. It seemed like they both did not care. Seemed like very little effort. The finish was horrible. Absolutely horrible. Flair hit a big boot on the UFC women's champion. Obviously not currently, but I mean, this was horrible. This to me, this is a point 5 out of 5 to me. This was both of them, and I don't blame Rhonda as much because this is still new to her and she's still learning and getting used to it. And I understand maybe she's not fully invested yet. I get it. I understand. Charlotte, what a horrible performance at WrestleMania. I hate to say better because I'm not like I'm a dad or anything, but come on. That's all I got to say. Go ahead.
The way you just said horrible, it's horrible. Well, it
Horrible.
was horrible. I pretty much kind of skipped through this. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I mean, on night 2, I mean, there was another women's match, and we'll get to that in a minute. That I completely skipped through that one. The six man, free for all, whatever the hell that was. But I mean, this match, oh, why did they put this on TV? Like, come on, man. Why did they put this one on TV?
It looked good on paper, but man,
No, it was horrible. It was terrible. They didn't want to work with each other. It was half-ass. It was terrible. It was terrible. It was terrible. And they shouldn't have even had the effing match. I mean, why? They were doing so good. I mean, you had $1 million women's match. You had Cody versus Seth. And then you come out with this?
yeah. Even the Miz and Logan Paul had a better match than the SmackDown Women's Champion. Daughter of a daughter of a legend.
Daughter of a legend, yeah. I mean, like, if I was Ric Flair, I'd be throwing my bags and, cussing and screaming, going like, what the hell is this? Because, I mean, I can't wait to hear Cornette's review of this because I'm sure he's going to tear everybody new ass on this one. Oh, my goodness. This was like, oh, man. This was just... Now, wait till we get to night 2. I'm like, if you thought this one was kind of just like, damn, believe me, you haven't seen nothing yet. So
yeah, let's move on to
let's get to the good part.
Happier things. The KO show / the Texas Rattlesnake Snow. What did I just say? The Texas Rattlesnake Stone Cold Steve Austin returning to professional wrestling and having a match. I got a lot to say, but Cole, I know you being a Texas boy, I know you got a lot to say, so I'll let you go ahead and take this one first.
Honestly, I kind of saw this as a one-night stand for Stone Cold, but you know what? I mean, here's the thing. The build up to the match, I mean, it was like, well, are they having a match or what's going on? I mean, and Kevin Owens, when he did that, fake bald head kind of thing, I was like, dude, come on. What are you doing? But I mean, when people heard Stone Cold's music, that place blew up. And not only that, but I mean, Jim Cornette had a really good point on this, was that Did you see anybody before that match go out into the crowd and wrestle into the crowd?
Yep,
No.
exactly.
Did you see any tables come out? No. Why? Because I bet you Steve Austin went to the producer and said, don't do that for any other matches because we're going to do it. And I want to make sure this place blows up.
Yeah.
Okay. And because the thing is, Steve Austin is not going to wrestle a match unless he can have a Steve Austin match. And that is exactly what happened. They started off doing the Kevin Owens show. Steve Austin comes out, pops the whole place. And then he comes out, and Kevin Owens, and I think Kevin Owens was listening to Cornette a little bit because Cornette was like, the promo that Kevin Owens should do is that, Steve, you're, been out of the business 20 years, your back's bad, your neck's bad, your knees are bad. And, and I know I got a bad back, but like, I mean, I think I can beat you because you're just an old, broken down man. And, and Steve Austin, he's sitting there going like, you think so? And then he's like, give me a, he want to say, give me a goddamn ref, but like, he didn't know if he could say that. He's just like, give me a ref!
That was hilarious.
And then you see a ref come
stuttering on that. Oh my gosh.
And then the next thing you know, you see a ref come down the aisle, and boy, do they have a match. And and now, don't get me wrong, Steve Austin's kicks, they kind of look terrible. I mean,
yeah, but they kind of always have, but it's Stone Cold.
And that's true. But the match they put on, I mean, I thought I was watching Steve Austin from 2003, 2004. I mean, he looked good for being 58 years old or whatever. I mean, I think like 57, 58, around there. Anyways,
yeah.
He put on a match that, I mean, it looked like a Stone Cold Steve Austin ass kicking like you used to see back in the day that everybody missed. And this is something that people have been wanting to see for 20 years. And boy, did Steve Austin put on a show. And I mean, now that suplex over the back on concrete for Steve Austin, I saw that. I was like, ooh, I mean, kudos to Steve for taking that bump because I'm sure that hurt like hell. But I mean, boy, did they wrestle a hard match. And I mean, that moment when Steve Austin sent Kevin Owens to the table, oh man, that was just sweet. And then they had a little match on the announcer desk and everything. I mean, they covered all the points, going out to the crowd, table, announcer desk, everything. And then in the end, this is the best part, Kevin Owens hits Stone Cold with a stunner, and they do a little false finish. And the next thing you see, Stone Cold hits Kevin Owens with a stunner and pins him 1, 2, 3, boom. I mean, it was a straightforward Stone Cold Steve Austin match. It was excellent, excellent, excellent.
Yeah, it was kind of wild because I thought at the very least there was no way that they leave WrestleMania night 1 without some sort of major, not physical confrontation, I guess is the right way to say it. You know what I mean? Where Stone Cold just basically has a squash match without a ref. That's what I thought the very minimum would be. In the back of my mind, I thought there was going to be a match. By no means did I think it would be a no holds barred match. I thought that Kevin talking before Stone Cold came out was nice because it gave more anticipation of that glass shattering and that pop. And man, he came out and then he walked back, got the ATV, went down, did a lap, it's typical Stone Cold, gets in the ring, do a little bit of minor talking, I guess would be the right way of saying it. And that the match itself, I'll say this, it was my first time. I've obviously seen plenty of Stone Cold matches, but that was the first live Stone Cold match I've ever seen. You got to remember when he retired, I was when did he retire? He retired in
04.
04. I was 2 years old. So I didn't get to see Stone Cold Steve Austin wrestle live, and this was, looking back at it now, I'm so happy that I can say I got to watch Stone Cold Steve Austin wrestle, live, and I'll be able to say that. But the match itself, I thought that Kevin did a heck of a job, executing this, in a way that it looked good, but it wasn't like, hey, I'm trying to take care of you too much. You know what I'm saying? AKA
Yeah.
Vince McMahon. But I thought it was good. I could not believe when I saw that Stone Cold took a suplex on the concrete. I I thought I was playing the video game. I'm like, in what world is Stone Cold Steve Austin at that age with his, health problems taking a bump like that? My goodness, what a match. I mean, like you said, the table spot, incredible. Kevin Owens did hit him with a stunner, and I'm not gonna lie, as stupid as this sounds, I kind of bought it. I kind of went, oh no, they're not gonna do this. Thank God, kicks out. Long story short, Stone Cold hits a stunner, wins the match. Heck of a Texas celebration. Kevin Owens,
beer was flowing, man.
Arrested by the Texas State Police because apparently it's illegal in the state of Texas to talk about Stone Cold in Texas. So
yeah, Texas
that
DPS
was funny.
hauled him off, man. Yeah, state troopers hauled him off. So
that was funny. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought personally night one's wrestling was better than night two.
Oh, by far.
By far. Now, I will say this, both shows had fantastic moments. I'll say that. Both shows had pretty good moments, but night one as a pure wrestling show, I thought was really good when it comes down to the tag team match between, Miz and Logan against the Mysterios. Obviously, the Becky Bianca match was phenomenal. Cody, Seth, and then Stone Cold wrapping things up, defeating Kevin Owens. How crazy is that to say in 2022, Stone Cold Steve Austin's winning a match in the main event of WrestleMania? That's unbelievable. Insane. But you got anything else on night one before we move on to night two here?
I do not. Let's get right into night two.
All righty. Night two. RK Bro faces the Street Profits and Alpha Academy in a whatever they call this, a triple threat tag team match for the Raw Tag Team Championships. I'll just go first just because I don't have a ton to say on this.
Before you do that, we also
go ahead.
Start off with the fact that Triple H opened.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we start off night two with Triple H, coming out. I mean, and this is after Triple H gave that interview saying, yeah, life's too short. I have recently had that big health scare where, and all that. He said he's done wrestling. And, just to see Triple H come out, open the show and do his fantastic entrance. I mean, it was good to see him, honestly. He looked good. And he really did a good job opening night two. Unfortunately, I wish the rest of night two was as good as Triple H opening the show, but hey, I was very happy. I popped when I saw Triple H. That was an excellent entrance as always.
Yeah, it was kind of wild. I was not expecting it. Just like when Stephanie came out, it was one of those things. It was like, oh, okay, that was, I wasn't expecting that. It's really sad because I like Triple H a lot. I got some problems with him in terms of like how things in the past have been handled, but as a performer, he is one of the best by far. And, WrestleMania means a ton to him. There's just some guys that it means more to, and he's one of them, and him coming out for the last time, it was sad, but at the same time, it was, well, I shouldn't say for the last time because he'll definitely come out at WrestleMania again, but as far as the immediate after, hey, I can't, I'm retired. It was a little sad, but at the same time, the way he did it was more of a celebration. Like, had this great career, whatever. Thank you guys. Welcome to WrestleMania. And I like that. The shot of his boots in the ring, it was, it's just one of those things that it's really tough, and it's starting to happen with more of me and you's generation of the guys that we, grew up watching, starting to hang things up, the Undertaker, Triple H, now Batista, Edge there for a while, and others, but it was tough to watch in a way, but yeah, great way to kick things off. But yeah, the first match, like I said, the triple threat for the tag titles. RK Bro, you can tell Randy Orton's having the time of his life. And that's great to see, because even he has admitted that he's kind of been mailing things in at times in his career. And I've gotten to see Randy Orton in person countless times, just because for whatever reason, anytime I go, he's always there. I can definitely say that, you can tell when he's into it or when he is mailing it in. And he's having fun. And that's great to see. There was a lot of good spots in this match. Montez Ford is an absolute superstar in my eyes. I think that this guy, he's not there yet, but if he continues to put on size, build muscle, and almost legitimize himself, he could legitimately be a main event kind of superstar. I mean, the spots that he does, his selling is phenomenal. His work is incredible. Angelo Dawkins is not bad himself, but to me, Montez Ford is just spectacular. A lot of great moments. Like I said, Montez did one dive where he ran and jumped over the turnbuckle. That was that was crazy. But basically summing things up here, RK Bro wins. Randy Orton hits an RKO. Matt Riddle hit a diving RKO, or I should say not a diving, a top rope RKO on Montez Ford. Great selling. RK Bro wins. We'll talk about the after the match stuff after you finish. But what do you think about this match?
This is one of those matches I just kind of skipped through. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. Montez Ford is on his way to the top. And yeah, good for Randy Orton that he's having the time of his life, but to me it kind of just looked like, a bunch of high spots and just one big train wreck. I mean, uh, there was way too much going on. I mean, I wish they'd have just kept it simple, but
I wish
sometimes
they would have done a
WWE,
ladder match. I would
yeah,
have that would have been more
and,
structured, and I think they would have had a better match.
but yeah, overall, there was just too much going on. Yeah, RK Bro did win, of course, but overall, I mean, I was just really just kind of skip through this thing. It just looked like,
Yeah, it definitely, like I said, I think a ladder match would have been perfect for these guys. But in the after the match stuff, they were, I guess you can say, celebrating. And well, let's see what happened. So they invited Gable Stevenson, the newly signed Olympian gold medalist, modern day Kurt Angle, what they
Kurt
want
Angle
him to be.
2.0, yeah.
And no personality, I know he's still very raw and he's green and everything, but man, I the guy, you can tell, because first of all, the back and forth between him and Chad Gable, whatever he's going by now, or is he still Chad Gable, I think, but anyway, that you could he was kind of exposed, in the lack of personality side of things.
Mm-hmm.
However, when he hit the belly to belly, throw over the back suplex, that looked good. I liked that. I loved that. So I think Gable Stevenson, in terms of in ring, I think has a ton of potential. I think, they want him to be the Kurt Angle. I think Kurt was one of these guys that picked it up real quick in the ring. I can see that in Stevenson. It's just the you gotta learn how to be charismatic. Sports WWE is sports entertainment. And that's what more of night 2 was to me. He's got to pick that up. I think he could be good. I understand why they've signed him. I think he's got potential, but he's got a lot of work.
And I agree with you there. Yeah, I mean, they want another Kurt Angle. But the thing is that, you know, when Kurt Angle came in, Kurt Angle immediately got it. I mean, Kurt Angle was, I mean, as a gimmick, I mean, he was this proper prim, prickish heel, and he got heat, and I mean, he was good. He could cut a promo. I mean, he had it down.
And he got over to the point that you suck is something that carried over even as a face.
Yeah, even today. I mean, anytime you hear Kurt Angle come out, like, you're going to hear you suck. And I mean, Kurt Angle just had that star power. I mean, and this guy,
Gable Stevenson.
Yeah, Gable Stevenson. Why did I just blank out there? What the hell's going on with me? Anyways, yeah, Gable Stevenson. Okay. Yeah, he can wrestle. I mean, we see why they signed him is that because, I mean, the guy can move in the ring, but boy, if he doesn't work on his promo and trying to get charismatic and connecting with the people, I mean, they need to put him with a manager or something because
great idea.
I mean, because if he doesn't get it real soon, they need to find him a manager. Like, I mean, or put him with MVP.
Yes.
I mean, that's what I think they need to do. At least until he gets the hang of it and starts, you know, learning how to connect with the fans. I mean, like, kind of like, you know, I want to say it's almost like what they did with Brock Lesnar when he first came in. But the thing is that but I take that back because Brock Lesnar, when he first came in, he could cut a promo. But that was also because, you know, he worked under Cornette, and, you know, that's promo
OVW,
god.
yeah.
I mean, the promo god himself. So, anyways, moving on. Let's get into what was honestly, in my book, a David versus Goliath match.
Which is weird because who knew that David was this jacked up guy?
Yeah. I mean, Bobby Lashley versus Omos, and they did a good job. I'll be honest with you. I really liked this match. I mean, they really kind of put on a decent match. Yeah. I mean, for what it was worth. I mean, I mean, I think they really did a good job.
I did not like this.
Really?
Yeah. Were you done, or you got something else?
I got more. I was just, you know.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
I was coughing up along here for a second. But anyways, like, for what it was worth, it was a decent match. I mean, yeah, there wasn't really a lot of high points, and I mean, and some of this stuff kind of looked like, oh, come on, man. But you know, I mean, they did some locks. I mean, Lashley tried to put Omos in a hurt lock, and Omos just kind of, you know, slung him around like he was some job guy, and all that. But really and truly, like I said, I mean, for what it was good. But, you know, if you really compare it to every other, you know, big man David Goliath kind of match, this was kind of lackluster at best. So,
yeah, here's why I didn't like it. The build was not good. This was something that could have been built way better. Way better. And the match itself wasn't terrible, but it was a match that should have been on a Backlash. You know, so it wasn't a WrestleMania match. And they could have had a lot better spots, but they've also killed so much of the potential as far as like Lashley overcoming Omos or almost whatever. Because the whole go home angle was, hey, you can't take him down. And then he did on Raw. You save that till Mania. I don't know. And the Raw after Mania, and I'll just go ahead and address this here since we're talking about it. Why wouldn't you have MVP turn on Lashley at Mania? Why?
Yeah, good question. That is a very good question. I mean, yeah, that's what. Yeah, because I mean, look,
it would make it way better.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought this match had a lot of potential. I was actually really excited for it, to be honest. I'll say this. There's a lot of people who think Omos ain't anything. They think he's terrible. I like the guy. I think they have potential in him. Undertaker is a big, big Omos fan. I think maybe I'm seeing what he's seeing in the potential. To me, he can be the modern day Giant, but way more athletic. And he's got more ability on the athleticism side of things than maybe like a Big Show did towards the end of his career. Because Big Show at the beginning was pretty athletic, and that's what made him great. I think Omos has that. I just think they got to use him in the right way. And I think having a manager in MVP is perfect. I think that maybe he's not going to be a star because I think they've killed that. I think at this point they have killed a lot of his potential. But with MVP, hopefully on the promo side of things, they can get things, more settled. But yeah, this match disappointed me. More so for the build than the actual match itself. But again, it is what it is. We'll see where it goes from here. Clearly, they're still feuding after the angle on Raw. So we'll see. That's all I'll say on that. The next one, which I'm sure you got plenty to say, so I'm just going to go ahead and let you go.
Are you ready for this one?
Here, let me say this before you go. Don't say anything that'll get me taken off YouTube because I'm going to go back through and edit, but I don't want to accidentally miss stuff. Okay.
I'm not going to be too bad.
Okay.
But I'm going to be...
Go ahead.
Oh, boy. This, ladies and gentlemen, if you are not aware of what Vince Russo booking looked like,
that is a great point. I didn't even think of that.
This is basically what Vince Russo dreamed about. This is what he nuts over. I mean, my goodness, this was a Vince Russo match. It had the midgets, it had the blow up dolls, it had the fat people flying off the fucking rope. I mean, it had everything. And this was also the same kind of match. It may be a Vince Russo Gaga match, but this is also the same kind of match that makes Cornette go to the hospital, because Cornette, when he did the review of this, man, I thought Cornette was just going to have a heart attack and drop. I mean, my God, this was just, oh my goodness. Hold on. I mean, here's all the gimmicks they use for this, and this, I got all the gimmicks written down. They had a cookie pan, they had a stop sign, they had a metal trash can, they had a crutch, they had a table with mouse traps, they had a regular table. They had garbage can symbols, lid symbols.
I will say this. I thought that was kind of funny. I will say that.
They had an air horn that was supposed to have some kind of, I don't know what the hell that was supposed to do.
Most deadly weapon on earth.
They had the Jackass Ball Kicker 3.0, the fucking boot with, oh man. They had the ass pyro. They had the flame shit up Sami Zayn's ass. They had the bowling ball to the balls.
I hated that spot.
They had the taser. They had the jackass massive hand. Boom! They had the tongs to the balls. How many ball spots do we have here? I mean, they had the mousetrap supreme. And Johnny goes over in the end. I mean, that's a big spoiler. Johnny goes over in the end, but like, oh my God.
Aren't you happy it wasn't for the Intercontinental Championship like we thought? Oh my God.
My head was just exploding the whole time. I was just like, they had midgets flying off. They had Wee Man doing a spot, beating the hell out of Sami Zayn. I was like,
I did kind of pop for that. I'm going to be honest.
I was like, what the hell? I mean, and Johnny, the 58-year-old, the 50-year-old, 60-year-old man, however old he is. I mean, the crippled old bastard that he is. I mean, my God, wrestling a match. I mean, okay, given how beat up and banged up he is, I mean, he looked good for what it was, but like, this match was like, I mean, this is like one of those, what the hell? You should have seen my face. I wanted to send you a picture of my face during this. My head just exploded. I mean, there was so many gimmicks. And, the fact that Cornette isn't in the hospital right now, coughing up blood, it's just, it blows my fucking mind. And I mean, Vince Russo, oh my God. I mean, Vince Russo just buggy-eyed going ga 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 over this match. I mean, this was, if they had a stripper pole, it would have completed everything. I mean, with a lesbian nun, like stripper pole with a lesbian nun. Oh, that'd have just completed the whole package, man. But like, this was just one of those, like, my God. There were 14 gimmicks. They used so many gimmicks, and I mean, like, like the fact, like, honestly, I mean, I'm surprised at the end the ring did just burst into flames.
Yeah.
Just, yeah, the midget blow up doll, bimbo, stripper pole, cornet, heart attack. Oh, and Chris Ponty is stripped down to freaking ass cheeks, man.
That was so bad.
Like, honestly, man, the fact that Chris Ponty did just take it all off and have his dick twirl like a helicopter, like, I mean,
shout out to Ric Flair, my God.
Oh my God. This was just, yeah. I mean, Chris Ponty is just, man, go ahead. I'm done.
Yeah. I don't have a lot to say on this, but you saying that about why am I forgetting his name now?
Honestly, hold on. And I just want to finish this off,
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if I don't know if we're ever going to see Sami Zayn again after that. Like, I'm serious. If Sami Zayn has any, shred of decency or respect for the business, I would just quit after that match. I mean, because this was just like, and WWE, like, what the hell? What the hell? Why are we doing? Why? Why?
Yeah, your analogy of Vince Russo is so spot on, and I am embarrassed that I didn't think of that, because you could not be any more right. This was a Vince Russo special. It to me, it was like Wipeout meets WWE. Like,
honestly, Vince Russo couldn't have done it any better. I mean, this was everything Vince Russo, condensed into one just big blow off. I don't know.
I'll say this. I cringed so hard for the The table with the mouse traps. I mean, that had to hurt. That I cringe at thumbtacks. I cringe at barbed wire, and that gave me that style of like, like that hurt. But
Yeah.
this match was, I I don't even know how to put it into words. It was just like, what am I watching? I mean, just just everything. I mean, the hand is that what happens in wrestling now? You take a step and there's a hand that hits you. I mean, the bowling ball spot I hated. Like I said, the double trash can lids I didn't mind because that reminded me a little bit of like a ECW type feel. That wasn't terrible. Why do we have to get kicked in the balls 50 times? This is why I don't like that show. Let's see what else.
It wasn't that bad back in 2003. It was way funnier back then, but like
the
now,
pyro spot I didn't mind, if that makes sense, because the way that it was kind of executed, I thought everybody says that it was meant to like hit him in the balls. I don't think so. I think it was more of like on his back, because if you look at how he sold it, that's how he sold it. I didn't hate that. I really didn't hate that. As dumb as that sounds, I thought it wasn't horrible. The giant mousetrap. What are we doing? It's an embarrassment to wrestling. It is. And Cornette was right on that. Wee Man body slamming Sammy, though, I did pop for that. I'm going to be honest. I did pop for that because all I could think of was Hogan and Andre. And I'm like, in 2022, we have another Hogan Andre, except it's a midget. All right. But trying to think what else was. Oh, yeah. What Party Boy, whatever his name is. You said it.
Chris Pontius twirling his dick in the fucking ring.
I wanted to shut the pay-per-view off. I'm not even joking. I wanted to shut it off. I've never been more embarrassed to say I'm a wrestling fan than when he came on. You have children there at WrestleMania, and you have this man who looks like he works at McDonald's in a Speedo. And it was just...
Oh no, it was worse than a Speedo, man. It was a thong. Let's be honest.
Well, yeah. As much as you can get with that.
I mean, like,
yeah,
okay. And you're right about the children part, because look, it's what I mean. Because when we were at Extreme Rules, I mean, there were kids around us, and I mean, there was a lot of cussing and stuff. I mean, that's one thing. But like when you see a grown ass man go in the ring stripped butt naked, I mean, the fact that they didn't have sensors on his balls.
Yeah,
come on, like, really? We're gonna do this on the biggest night in wrestling all year? We're gonna do this? I mean, they just shat all over Vince's fucking, company. Honestly, like, that was just, I mean, honestly, the only reason why I kept watching after that was because of the Pat McAfee match. That was the only thing that kept me watching, because if that match had already happened, I would have just clicked off the damn pay-per-view, and that'd have been it.
Yeah, just
and honestly, AEW, this is below AEW standards. I mean,
this is below any mud show backyard to me. I mean, it was entertaining in a way if you take off the, hey, this is supposed to be WrestleMania side of things, but it just, it was not good.
It's time to move on before I get you thrown off the air.
Yeah.
You're gonna do a lot of editing.
All I'm gonna say finally for this match is, I swear to God, if that had been for the Intercontinental Championship and he would have won,
no,
I wouldn't have watched wrestling ever again. I don't think I could. All right, moving on before I lose my mind. Uh,
Liv Morgan versus Shayna Baszler and Natalya again. Naomi, the same show, different day.
yeah.
It's. I mean, I'm sorry. I've seen this. I've seen the same match over and over and over, and I'm tired of watching the same show all the time. It's always Sasha Naomi versus Liv and Natalya and Shayna Baszler. It's the same show, different day, all the time, 24/7. And I'm tired of seeing the same. I'm tired of seeing the same thing. Mix it up. Do something. Put
Yeah.
Shayna with Liv, or come on, man. Like,
Yeah.
just mix it up. Like, why are you feeding us the same goulash or whatever the hell it
Gulag.
is? Yeah, what a gulag, whatever. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying at this point, but like, why are you feeding us the same crap?
Yeah. All I'll say on this match, I didn't care. I thought that Liv and Rio were gonna win, but now it makes sense why they didn't, knowing what I know now. And what's going on with Edge's faction, which by the way, pumped for that.
Yeah.
Um, good for Sasha to get a win at WrestleMania. That's kind of been the thing with her. She's lost at like every WrestleMania. So good for her. That's all I'll say. Didn't care. Didn't watch. Actually, I hate to say this because, this is not disrespect to them, but I went to the bathroom during this match.
No, don't worry. I skipped through. I just like to
Yeah.
go with this. I mean, I'm not watching the same show that I've seen 100 times. Like, come on, and
Let's
it's not even
just
that good.
let's just move on. I'll go
To a good
first.
match.
I'll go
To a good
first on
match.
this because I got some things to say on this.
Go.
24 minutes this match was. Now, first of all, I feel so bad for laughing at him, but hey, AJ, I love you, brother, but watch where you're walking, dude. The man hits his eye on the on the WrestleMania sign coming out to the
Oh
ring.
no.
No sells it, bloody, walking down to the ring. I actually tweeted out, I said, did Vince get that mad? But yeah, that was quite the interesting visual. Edge's entrance was phenomenal. I love his new theme song. The other side is perfect for his new heel persona. Um, a lot of people disappointed in this match. A lot of casual wrestling fans disappointed in this match. Me and you will like this match because we know what professional wrestling is and we can appreciate the methodical paced back and forth, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was good. I liked it. I thought it was good, but I thought they should have done a little bit more up tempo, high spots, just to kind of keep it more fast paced. I don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it, but I thought they could have added a little bit more, and then take more of the slower, methodical breaks in between, if that makes sense. It was really more of like 22 minutes of slow paced back and forth. I understand why people might be like, oh, that was boring. I didn't think it was because, again, me and you enjoy that style, but just kind of wrapping things up, because I don't want to say a whole lot on this, but I did think it was interesting how they finished this match with AJ on the outside going for the phenomenal forearm, slight hesitation because Damian Priest was there. Good foreshadowing, in terms of building this new faction. Just that slight hesitation of like, why are you here? All right, whatever. And then he gets speared. 1, 2, 3. Edge wins. A lot of people thought AJ should win. Listen, AJ's my favorite in-ring performer right now. I mean, he hasn't won. He's not looked great recently. Don't let that fool you. AJ Styles, in my opinion, is the best professional wrestler on the face of the earth in the ring. But you couldn't have him win. This entire Edge heel turn is about, hey, I'm not going to get to that next level until I take myself to that next level. He had to win. Good match. I didn't think it was great. I thought it was good. And I like where they're going with Edge from here. So that's what I got to say on that match.
Yeah. I agree. That would be pretty much my assessment of the match. I kind of gave like a 4 out of 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
think that's perfect for me.
and for what it was, I mean, it was a straightforward match. I mean, nothing too fancy. I mean, both of them could work real good. Um, there was a few high spots here and there, and I mean, and AJ get a little shaky, but other than that, yeah, just good, just straightforward match. Especially after the last 2 matches we saw. I mean, this was kind of
Oh
just a
yeah,
breath
yeah.
of fresh air. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if you saw well, I guess no, we'll go ahead and talk about it now. So Edge's new faction, obviously Damian Priest and Edge, but you heard the names that are supposed to be in this faction?
I have not.
So you you'll love this. I'm genuinely pumped about this. And I don't know how true they are, but I'm a huge fan of Wrestle Talk. I love the guys at Wrestle Talk and they're right on everything. They said that this is supposed to be the new Brood. I don't know if that's what it's going to be called, but Damian Priest and Edge, phenomenal
Oh,
visual together.
oh
Phenomenal
my
visual
goodness.
together.
Yeah, that's gonna pop.
But listen to this. Listen to who's going to be in this. Allegedly. Again, I want to say allegedly because nothing's confirmed, or at least I can't say it's confirmed. I don't know. I don't have sources. I'm just telling you what I heard. Edge, Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley, Tommaso Ciampa.
Okay.
That is going to be must watch TV. People don't know how good Tommaso Ciampa is. People don't realize how good Rhea Ripley is. Rhea Ripley can have a
Oh,
main event match
yeah.
like what we saw
Rhea
with
Ripley's
Bianca.
good.
I'm pumped. This is one of the things in wrestling that I am genuinely pumped to see going forward, as long as they handle it right, which I think they will, because Edge being a Hall of Famer, being a legend, I think he'll have input on this, and I think hopefully it's not bad. You know what I mean? This
Yeah.
has potential to be great. I'll say that much.
Mhm.
Um, but we'll go ahead and move on because I'm going to be honest with you. I completely missed this match because I went to the bathroom again and it was over. But Sheamus and Ridge Holland with Pete Dunne, aka Butch. Way to ruin Pete Dunne, WWE. You got this phenomenal, methodical chain wrestler, technique guy, and you're ruining him on the main roster. This guy could be the WWE champion, and that's not overstating it. Go watch a Pete Dunne NXT UK match with Walter. Pete Dunne is phenomenal. I love Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne, rather. 2-second match, really, with the New Day. I like that they paid tribute to Big E with their gear.
Mhm.
This was a hey, we didn't have time for you night one. We got like 2 minutes for you night two. Go ahead, have fun. That was what this
Yes.
was. Literally, I got it
Uh,
listed here. 3 minutes, 45 seconds. Oh, wait a minute. No, never mind. Sorry, I read the wrong one. 1 minute, 40 seconds. I said 2 minutes. I was even long on that.
yeah, this match I just completely skipped over. I was just like, the hell with this. Next. I mean, I didn't. I mean, they it just looked like just a free for all. Just I don't know. I just clicked. I saw like 2 seconds and I was like, skip.
Yeah.
I didn't. This was not. I mean, because I didn't want to see that. I wanted to see what was coming up next, and that one I really wanted to see.
Yes. So
This was now this one. I mean, oh man.
I'll let you take this one first because actually, go
Oh,
ahead. Let's split it up. Let's go with McAfee theory first, and then we can talk about the Vince stuff
all right.
after the
So
fact.
here we go. Vince McMahon comes out to his No Chance in Hell entrance with Austin Theory, and Austin Theory is technically supposed to be Mr. McMahon's uh, new investment that's supposed to take over the wrestling world.
Future
And
Universal Champion. Did you pick up that?
Yeah, I did pick that
That
up.
is
Future Universal Champion. There we
that's
go.
quite a statement.
That's Roman Reigns' replacement right there. Vince McMahon personally handpicked this guy to be the man of the future.
Allegedly the new John Cena, per what I've heard. So
yeah. And honestly, you know, when the Pat McAfee match versus Austin Theory, I mean, I thought it was spectacular. And especially then when they got Vince McMahon involved and they Vince and I mean, Vince. I wish, you know, I looked at his arms and I remember how Vince used to look back in the 90s when he would come out and that, you know, all blowed up and stuff. I mean, Vince looked ripped. And you just look at Vince now, you're like, man, has time not been too friendly to Vince McMahon? But um back to the Austin Theory Pat McAfee match. I mean, it was good, and you know, and you had McMahon was in there, and then all of a sudden we got Pat McAfee versus Vince McMahon, and boy, did they really have at it. Vince was just tossing Pat around like a job guy, treating him like crap, and it looked good. It was entertaining. And then next thing you hear,
oh my god,
glass shatters and Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out. This was that moment when Vince was holding Austin Theory's hand up in the air and celebrating, and the next thing you see, Stone Cold comes out as the foil to Mr. McMahon, and it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. Austin comes in and just, you know, does his typical stunner, you know, getting everybody's face. And
typical stunner.
No.
Oh, you're talking about Theory. Okay.
Yeah, Theory. No.
Okay, I was gonna say, whoa.
And Theory sold the hell out of that stunner, and I mean, it was like Rock selling a stunner. I mean,
yeah.
Austin Theory, good job. Kudos.
Felt like I was watching The Rock.
Yeah, kudos to Austin Theory because he sold the hell out of the stunner. And then we get to the stunner on Vince, and oh my goodness. Okay. Here's what happened for those of you that didn't watch this. So what happened was Austin kicks McMahon in the stomach, and McMahon goes down to his knee, and you see Austin laughing because he knew it was a botch. And then McMahon backs up into the rope, and Austin finally gets his, you know, hands over McMahon's head, and he just and the way Vince McMahon's legs collapsed, it was like an accordion. It was just, I mean, I couldn't help myself. I mean, McMahon just collapsed, and it was just hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
And man, oh my goodness. And then they just continue having a beer bash. And next thing you know, Austin hits a stunner on Pat McAfee, and Pat
sold it so good.
Oh my god,
so
the sell was excellent. And I think there was a clip where they saw where Pat was just, you know, stuttered out, still drinking beer. Man.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
That was just great. And I think Pat went on Twitter, was like, yeah, I still got beer in my ears. I can't hear anything. I'm still cleaning beer out. And then not only that, but then he calls Byron Saxton into the ring and hits a stunner on Byron Saxton.
Great job by Corey Graves saying, I've been waiting for this moment my entire life. That was great call on commentary there by
oh man,
Corey.
This was just, you know, it was excellent. I mean, like, just seeing Vince, man. Oh my god. Oh. One more stunner for the boss.
Yeah. So, all right, let's start off. First of all, McAfee's entrance, Seven Nation Army, the greatest hype up song of all time with the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. What a way to start for Pat. I mean, allegedly, he had no clue that was happening. So what an entrance for Pat McAfee. The crowd was in the palm of his hand. I mean, people don't realize Pat McAfee, I can say this because I am in a similar how do I say it? Similar field, I guess, as Pat. Sports talk in a non-traditional way where it's not a TV show. You sit down and say, oh, I think this and this and this, and you think this, Pat McAfee is an absolute icon in every sense of the word. Somebody who was a punter in the NFL, got out at 29, created this now multi-million dollar operation, the Pat McAfee show, loved professional wrestling, got in it. I was pumped when he was announced as commentator because people don't realize, and this is why I was a little bit disappointed that he did some of the same stuff that he did in the NXT matches against Adam Cole and then in the War Games match. However, I didn't think about this. There's a lot of people who do not watch NXT and they have not gotten to see Pat McAfee. And I realized that because of the crowd reactions, because of watching some people's reactions. The dude is an absolute stud. He gets professional wrestling like I've never seen some people get it before. The dude, his facial expressions, if you go back and you watch, every time that they had a close-up of his face, spot on selling. The dude is an athlete. I mean, I know so many people who I shouldn't say hate, who don't like wrestling, do not watch it, don't want to see it, tweeting and texting me and commenting about it, about Pat. The dude did more for professional wrestling in one night than people can even imagine. And the way that he handled it, the spots of the jumping up on the turnbuckle, he did that in the NXT match. The backflip out of a suplex, he did that in the NXT match. But I was glad he did it here on a bigger stage, just so people could see it. I mean, Pat McAfee, I hope he has more matches. He needs to have a match at SummerSlam. 100% needs to have a match at SummerSlam. I was going to say something else that I thought of today with that. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, so anyway, Pat wins. Vince McMahon. And you know what? I'm so happy that Vince was ringside so he could hear the crowd reaction of Pat McAfee. Because Pat's the most over guy in wrestling. I mean, he is. Listen to that crowd. I mean, it was up there with the reactions for Stone Cold. So Pat wins. And we were talking about there's no way 76-year-old Vince McMahon's having a match. And then he did the interview on McAfee, and it was like, okay, this makes sense. He's going to face Theory. Makes a ton of sense. When I saw Vince McMahon starting to take it off, like his jacket off, I was like, oh my gosh, there's no way. Like there's no way. And then he put it back on, started walking, looked back, took it off. Listen to this. Allegedly, per Pat McAfee, he had no idea, no clue that this was happening. This all happened on the fly, allegedly. So again, he could just be saying that, or it could be true. If that's true, oh my goodness, because the way that Pat handled this of like, you get in here, old man, like you want something, you know what I mean? Fantastic job. It was a 3-minute, 45-second match, but again, you can't really do a whole lot, because Vince, he's not going to be taking bumps, he's not going to be doing anything crazy. But Pat, I thought they handled it well because Pat obviously put Vince over to where Vince looked like he could somewhat do things, clotheslines, stuff in the corner, Austin Theory getting involved. Perfect way to handle that because you can't just have Vince beat him, without cheating. Right. It was hilarious to see 76-year-old Vince McMahon. I was losing my mind. This is the most I've lost my mind of anything professional wrestling since CM Punk debuted. And before that, Edge debut coming back. And before that, I can't even tell you. The last time I popped this hard. And you Vince McMahon gave it away when him and Theory's hands were raised, and then Theory's music hit. But if you look, he had that reaction of Stone Cold faced. Well, It was Theory's music, so he gave it away. So it was like, okay, it's happening. Just when is it going to happen? Glass shatters. Stone Cold comes out. The stunner of all stunners. I mean, I've never laughed so hard in my life. I mean, it's so simple. I mean, Donald Trump took a stunner. Linda McMahon took a horrible stunner. Anybody can take a stunner. I can take a stunner right now and make it look good. Vince, he gets lightly tapped in the stomach and just falls backwards. And Stone Cold, you could tell he was laughing already, but then he was like, "Oh, I got to make this look good." And Vince was like, "Oh crap," and he was trying to sell it or get it back into it to make it look good. And Jim said it perfectly. I mean, you had Vince trying to compensate for falling backwards. You have Stone Cold panicking of like, "Oh crap," and then eventually, instead of falling to his knees, he just says, "All right, I'm just gonna go straight to my butt." It did not look good. It was. I will forever keep that clip. I'll never forget Vince McMahon taking that stunner. But yeah, that was great. Pat's stunner was absolutely phenomenal. And then the shot of him with the beer on the outside, fantastic. Stone Cold Steve Austin, just great moment. Great moment. But yeah, you got anything else on that before we move on to the main event?
Pat McAfee can run for president when.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he is that over. People don't realize how over he is. And it's not that he's a celebrity hyped up. He gets it. Like I said, he's actually good. He's trained by, I want to say, Rip Rogers. He's been training, and his personality fits professional wrestling. I'm pumped for his future. I really am. But we'll just go ahead and move on. So the main event championship unification match, the WWE champion Brock Lesnar taking on the Universal champion Roman Reigns. You want to give your thoughts on this first?
Let's see. There could have been more with this match, but I think they were just kind of running out of time, and they're just like, all right, let's just go ahead and get this done and out. And I mean, it was a nice little quick little hardcore match, to be honest. I mean, it looked good. Roman versus Brock. I mean, like I said, I wish they'd have done more with it, but honestly, from what happened from the match that happened before, that was kind of hard. I'll be honest with you, like the main event to me was a Pat McAfee match. That whole Pat McAfee segment, that was a main event to me.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, the Roman versus Brock, that was kind of, I mean, I think they were out of time, and that was kind of hard to follow up, what just happened. So for what it was a decent match. I mean, Roman unifying the titles. Okay. I hope we don't see the last of Brock Lesnar. I really hope that, they keep feuding, because I mean,
he's booked for Saudi, I heard. So he'll be back in some kind of role.
Yeah. So I mean, this isn't the end of Brock, but anyways, hard to follow up with the match before. I mean, that the match before that if they'd have just ended with that, no one would have noticed that they forgot Roman versus Brock. But I mean, it is unfortunate. I wish they'd have had Roman versus Brock before they did the whole Pat McAfee thing. So bad booking on WWE's part. But I also think that there was a lot of, from what we know, even though it's not confirmed, they could be kayfabing for all we know, that there was a lot of things that happened in the Pat McAfee segment that was just caught everybody off guard. We're like, oh, okay, how do we and I bet you if that's true, then they probably told Brock and Roman to, all right, get it in, shut it down quick, and move on.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I thought that this match, first of all, Roman Reigns is legitimately hurt right now.
Yeah.
People do not understand. Roman Reigns popped his shoulder out of place. When Brock put him in the Kimura, he's legit hurt, and WWE is straight up ignoring that right now. And I don't blame them. I get it, but they have put so much into Roman Reigns that they cannot afford to lose him. They literally cannot afford to lose him. The match itself was a finisher signature, over and over and over, which is basically what Brock Roman has been the last 50 billion times they've had a match. I don't think it was meant to be this short. I think that Roman getting hurt was why it was 12 minutes. I think it was probably meant to go more towards 20. And I thought they were getting ready to take it to that next level in the back half of this match. And Roman gets hurt. And Paul Heyman, what a phenomenal job he does. The point where Roman, I don't know if you caught this, but Roman's over in the corner and he's going, Paul, it's out, talking about his arm. And you just hear Heyman go, my tribal chief, don't give up. You can do it. Just taking a real moment and turning it into a positive, I guess you could say, for the story. Heck of a job. Roman wins. Not a shocker at all. I mean, everybody and their grandmas knew Roman Reigns was winning. Rumor is they're going to have a new belt on Raw. So, not allegedly, it is now the WWE Universal Champion. What they call it? The WWE Universal Championship, I think. No, the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. That's what it's now called. I completely botched that. But anyway, Roman, credit to him for being tough, because if you'll notice, the shot that they needed to end WrestleMania was him holding up both titles. And you could tell he could not really get that arm up, but he ended up getting it up. So I just want to say credit to Roman. As much crap as people have given him, this new character has been perfect. I don't know where it goes from here necessarily, but credit to him for getting the job done, putting on a decent main event. It was not great, was not perfect. I would give it maybe 3.5 out of 5, but could have been a disaster. It could have been, hey, it's out. I got to, I'm done, or I'm going to tap. And then it's like, oh, shoot, So it definitely underperformed. I don't think it's their fault, though. It is what it is. But it'll be interesting to see where we go from here. You got anything else on that one?
No, I like just kind of follow up what you said. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was their fault. That was kind of, lackluster. I mean, but because like I said, I mean, how do you follow up the whole Pat McAfee segment?
Yeah,
kind of hard to beat, honestly.
Yeah, and it was very, very hyped up, for what it was, and there really wasn't much they could do. So, but we've been going now for almost 2 hours. I just want to quickly run through the Raw after Mania, which sucked. So, WrestleMania as a whole, I think night 1 for me was an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. Night 2 was a 6 for me. So overall, I mean, you look at it, that's a solid 7.5 out of 10. This WrestleMania had no business being as good as it was, in my opinion. So, heck of a job. I'll say this: there's this argument out there of AEW can't put on a show that compares to this. WWE sports entertainment. AEW is professional wrestling. That at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. What I kind of judge WrestleManias by is, what am I going to remember? And I can tell you right now, I will remember Logan Paul. I'll remember Bianca Belair in that crazy match. I'll remember Cody Rhodes returning in that match. I remember obviously Stone Cold coming back for the first time in 19 years. I remember the terribleness of the Johnny Knoxville Sammy match, but that's more of a knock, but memorable for the wrong reasons. Edge and AJ, I probably won't remember, if I'm being honest, which is unfortunately. The whole stuff with McAfee, I'll remember for the rest of my life with Stone Cold and Vince and that stunner. So overall, when you look at it from that perspective, give it 5-10 years, whatever, you'll still remember things from this WrestleMania. And I think that's a great thing, given how bad the card was going into it. So anyway, let's quickly I just want to run through 3 things from the Raw after Mania. Number 1, show kicks off with Cody Rhodes. I don't know if you saw the promo Cole. That's a tongue twister. But
I did not, but
fantastic promo. It was an AEW style Cody promo, no script.
Oh, good.
Just going out there and saying what he here's the one thing I loved about this that WWE does not do with returns or debuts. They don't give the attention of why they're here. Cody did that. Cody came out. He had the Cody Vader great entrance. The crowd popped hard. And the crowd really sucked all night, but the crowd popped for this. And he comes down and he basically gives the story of, I'm back because I sat there, and he pulled up the picture of Dusty holding the WWW, or what's it?
No, it'd be the WWF.
Yeah, but it wasn't the WWF title because it was before. I don't know, but anyway,
if it was during Vince Senior, it'd have been the WWF. But
yes,
was,
that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he showed that picture, and he kind of gave a backstory of like he was young, and he asked his dad like, when did he win that title? And he said, "Well, son, I never won it. I won by count out, and by count out or disqualification, whatever. So I didn't get the championship." And he kind of gave that backstory. And he said, all I've ever wanted to do was to give my dad the WWE, the world championship, and say, Dad, I did it. And he said, I can't do that, but I can have my father looking down from heaven, knowing his son did it, all these years later. You know what I mean? I loved that promo. I absolutely loved that promo. It establishes him for his reasoning for coming back. There's the emotional connection. He's already got the pop. He's definitely a main event superstar right now, being treated as such. Now, Seth Rollins did come down, and I was like, here we go. They're going to have them feud. No, Rollins comes down and shakes his hand. And that was it. That was, I don't know. I mean, it was interesting. I don't think that means they're going to feud, but it was interesting. I love the promo. I cannot wait to see what they do with Cody, or I should say, I can't wait to see what Cody does going forward. That was fantastic. That was awesome. And again, it was the AEW style. It wasn't the scripted BS. It wasn't, but anyway, moving on. So the next thing, I don't know if you saw this, Elias returned.
Yes, that
under
was
the new name Ezekiel. And he looks nothing like him. Have you seen the picture?
Yes, I actually saw a little bit of the segment. I was,
did you?
Yeah, I mean, that was that was interesting. I mean, you don't see that often, but I mean, he has a different look. I mean, it's almost like they've completely just rebranded this guy. I mean, it got my attention, to say the least.
Yeah, I didn't know that was Elias. I was looking at him and I'm like, is this somebody from the past that I don't remember? Like, is this a new person? Is this somebody from the past? Like, it just didn't click. And then I was actually listening along with Wrestle Talk stream, and they go, is that Elias? And I went, no, it's not. There's no way. And then I looked closer and I'm like, is that Elias? And then so the promo itself wasn't bad. I'm glad they addressed it, because sometimes you'll have these new gimmicks and it'll be like, okay, well, we know who you are, So Kevin Owens addressing it, I liked. Weird. I loved Elias as Elias. He was over. He had the crowd. I don't know why he's being switched up. I thought that he could be a very, very good mid-card champion. I thought he could be a great Intercontinental or United States champion. I don't know why they rebranded him. I'm going to hold out and hope that things go well because I know how great Kevin Owens is. Kevin Steen, Ring of Honor name, but
Yeah.
I think he can make it work. And I hope that this storyline is, no, you're not Ezekiel, you're Elias. I hope that's what the storyline is, because to me, that would be great, because that could establish him. If this is his new character, it would be a good way of saying, no, Elias, held me back or whatever, even though he claims to be Elias's brother, whatever. That I don't know. But you got anything else on that you want to talk about?
Nah, I don't.
But that was weird. We'll see where that
it's-
goes. But the only other thing I wanted to talk about from Raw after Mania, I guess you could say Edge had the promo with Priest. That was good. The crowd chanted, "We don't care." This is one of the good things on the show. Don't come on.
Yeah, that was just they just kind of buried him. I mean, which because that was a little disrespectful in my opinion.
Yeah, I did not like that.
Edge and Damian Priest. That's gonna. I mean, when they realize that crowd really screwed up burying them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's what I mean, because those two together are gonna really make some shockwaves.
Oh yeah. And I'm like, man, come on. But anyway, the last thing I wanted to talk about, we'll wrap up with this because we're heading on the 2 hour mark now. So if you're still watching this, thank you. We both appreciate it. Let us know your thoughts. But the entire 3 hour show of Raw, you're going to hear from your new undisputed WWE Universal Champion. And what is it? He walks down to the ring and says, "Acknowledge me." And that was it. I waited 3 hours for two words. And again, it was the same thing. Oh, watch SmackDown. That's all I got to say on that. I was just.
Did Paul even cut a promo at least?
No.
What?
No, it was just Roman.
Just Roman just saying
not by himself. I mean, Paul was there, the Usos were there.
And that's all he said was acknowledge me.
He literally walked out, stood there for a minute, and then said something, "Acknowledge me." And that was it. And I'm like, I'm going to go jump off a bridge. You just wasted 3 hours of my life. Thank you. But yeah, Cody promo, great. Elias segment, weird. We'll see. The new brood, whatever they're calling themselves, I thought that was good. Crowd, you're an idiot. Or you all suck. Roman segment, screw you for making me wait. That's all I'll say on the Raw after Mania. We'll see where this goes from here. You got anything else you want to say?
I think I'm good. I mean, I need to go cool off after before I get everybody thrown off the air.
Yeah, this is the longest podcast I think we've done. A lot of stuff to talk about that we had to cover here. So I appreciate you, everybody. If you stay to the end, you're amazing. I don't know what you're doing with your life that you listen to us, but thank you. We both appreciate it. But anyway, let us know your thoughts. We'll be doing another one of these probably within the next 2 weeks, talking a little bit more about the fallout. We'll get into some AEW stuff. Samoa Joe is all elite, and I'm happy to see him back in professional wrestling because the man is underrated. But we'll save that for the next one. With that being said, that's all I got to say. Cole, you got anything else you want to add?
I think we're good to go.
All righty, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.